Hey guys, my name is That Quiet Kid, and today we are going to do a room on Tryhackme called Introduction to Malware Analysis. So, the task one is every once in a while, when you are working as a SOC analyst, you will come across a content that seems suspicious, and you will have to decide whether that content is malicious or not. It is normal to feel confused with all the mixed signals that such content provides. This becomes a little overwhelming for someone who is just starting in cybersecurity, and it is common to begin self guessing oneself. So notably in this room we will learn what is a malware, how to start analyzing a malware, static and dynamic analysis of a malware, resources to help you analyze malware. So let's get started. And now we move on to task 4, which is malware analysis. So the word malware is derived from the term malicious software. Malicious, the word malware, mal from malicious and ware from software. So malware is derived from the term malicious software. Therefore any software that has malicious purpose can be considered malware. Malware is further classified into different categories. So let's see the purpose behind malware analysis. Why are we doing this? So the security operations team analyze malware to write detections for malicious activity in their network. So the incident response teams analyze malware to determine that damage has been done to an environment to remediate and revert that damage. Threat hunt teams analyze malware to identify IOC. I think it's, let's see what it is. IOC. I think it's incident something indicator of compromise. So it indicates the things that has been compromised to identify them, and which they use to hunt for malware in a network. And we have malware researchers in security product vendor teams analyze malware to add detections for them in their security product. Threat research teams in OS vendors like Microsoft and Google analyze malware to discover the vulnerabilities exploited and add more security features. Okay, so before we begin, never analyze malware or suspected malware on a machine that does not have sole purpose of analyzing malware. So it's basically saying don't run malware on your main computer. You should always run it into a virtual machine, and you can also use sandbox, because these are sandbox or machines that are specifically designed for testing of malwares, and they are basically isolated from the outside network, and you can test your malwares in that. You can also create snapshots so that you can go back to the clean state. So which team uses malware analysis to look for IOCs and hunt for malware networks? So it was threat hunt teams, and it was incident. I also forgot. I think it was incident of compromise, indicator of compromise. I think yes, it was indicators of compromise. Okay, so let's move on to task 3, and wait a second. Let's deploy the machine because I think it will also take time. So let's deploy the machine, which is in task 4. Okay, so coming back to task 3, which is the techniques of malware analysis. Okay, so malware analysis is like solving a puzzle. We have two types of analysis, that is static and dynamic. First, we will understand what is static analysis. So in static analysis, we analyze the malware without executing the malware. So how we can analyze a malware? By running tools like strings that will print out all these strings in the malware contains, and using file to analyze what kind of file it is. And we have dynamic analysis. In dynamic analysis, we basically run the malware and check its behavior in a controlled environment to see what it is doing. So these are the two different types of analysis. Now we have advanced malware analysis as well, which technique in advanced malware analysis techniques are used to analyze malware that evades basic static and dynamic analysis. For performing advanced malware analysis, deassemblers and debuggers are used. Okay, so which technique is used for analyzing malware without executing it? So when we are analyzing a malware without executing it, we use a static analysis. And which technique is used for analyzing malware by executing it in and observing its behavior in a controlled environment. So dynamic analysis, it is dynamic analysis. Okay, so let's move on to task 4, which is basic static analysis. So, okay, we have when analyzing a piece of malware, the first step usually is performing basic static analysis. Basic static analysis can be considered sizing up the malware, trying to find its properties before deep diving into analysis. It provides us with an overview of what we are dealing with. Sometimes it might give us some critical information, for example, what API calls the malware is making and what it's packed or not. However, other times it might also give us information to help us size the malware up and give us an idea of effort required to analyze it. So it's saying question, we should never run the malware, in in your main machine that you are working. You should always run malware in a isolated environment like a virtual machine. Okay, so it is saying attached VM to start the VM. We have already done this and it is 86% complete. So moving on, we have examining the file type. So we can use this file command and the name of the, file name of the malware, and that will tell us the type of file it is. So as you can see that it is showing us a picture of WannaCry malware, and file command is run on this malware, and we can see that it is a PE32 executable GUI Intel 80386 for MS Windows. So what it is saying is this output shows a PE32 executable file with a graphical user interface which was compiled for a system that runs Microsoft Windows with an Intel 80386 based processor. So x86 based processor this malware is designed for, in which it runs, and it's a PE executable. I think it's post. Let's see what is a P. I think it's post X something. I don't remember. Let's see it. Okay, it is portable executable. So it is. Let's move on. We have strings. As I told you, through strings, it will tell you the strings contained in the malware. Command is simple strings and the name of the malware, and we can also send the output to a file as well. This sign is greater than sign is used to, less than sign is used for to print the output to a file so that we can view it. Calculating hashes, we can also calculate the hash, md5 hash using md5 sum, sha1 hash using sha1 sum, and sha256 hash using sha256 sum command. So we have virus total as well, which is used to analyzing malware. It is a site. Let's visit virus total. It should be running. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so going down, what do we have? In the attached VM, there is sample called redline. So let's go to the samples folder. Right click here and open terminal here. The virus total site is not opening. Okay, so there is a sample named redline in the desktop sample directory. What is the MD5 sum of this sample? So the MD5 sum and the sample name is redline. Click enter, and here we have our MD5 sum. Click copy and paste it. Okay, what is the creation time of this? What is the creation time of this sample? So okay, how can we analyze it? Okay, through virus total, but the virus total site is not working. Let's try again. Okay, for some reason the virus tutorial site on my virtual machine was not working, so I am running it on my main browser. So let's go to here and click on search and paste in the hash. Okay, so we can see the details, and in the details you can see that the creation time is 2020. And let's copy this and paste it here. Paste it here. So now let's move on to task number 5, which is PE header. PE file headers. So it contains the metadata about a portable executable file. This data can help us find a lot of helpful information to help us in our analysis. We will go into detail about the PE header and the information it contains in the upcoming malware analysis module for the advanced part. However, some of the vital information found in the PE header is explained below. Imports and exports. So imports is basically like if the malware contains some module which is present in the Microsoft Windows, and it will simply say import this from my Microsoft rather than writing the code for it. This is what imports is about, and we can go down and we can see the sections, which is the text text session. This section generally contains the CPU instructions executed uh, when the portable executable is run. Then we have dot data, this section contains the global variables, and we have dot rsrc, which contains resources that are used by the PE file. So analyzing PE header using PE check. So let's run PE check on our file. Click enter. Okay, let's run it. I think it's a lot of output. Yes, it's a lot of output. Okay, so let's see what we are looking at. So in the attached view, there is sample called redline in the directory desktop slash samples. What is the entropy of the .txt section? So let's grep using grep to get this. Click enter. I think we should get it. And the entropy is this 6.4 point something. Okay, I forgot. It's Control Shift plus C. Paste it here. The sample name redline has 5 sections: text, data, data, R data, RS, RC are 4 of them. What is the name of the fifth section? Okay, I think we will have to go up. What do we have? Okay, let me. Yes, we have text, R data, 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 and data. Dot and data is the fifth section. So let's move on. Okay, so from which DLL file does the sample name redline imports this reg open key at exw function? Okay, so let's copy this function. Go here. Simply we will grab the output again. Okay, has it? Okay, it has not copied it. So let me type it. It's reg open key. It is case sensitive, so we have to keep in mind the capital and small letters. So we have found this advapi 32.dll. So let's copy it and paste it. Okay, so let's move on. Check out the GUI based PE tree tool and see what information it shows. You can use the following command for using PE tree tool to analyze the redline malware. It takes some time to initialize, so let's use this tool as well. PE tree redline, click enter, and we hope it runs quickly. So let's move on to task 6 and see the basic dynamic analysis. So this is the part where I think they will explain about sandbox. As you can see, introduction to sandbox, which is like an isolated environment in which we can test our malwares. So while basic static analysis provides us with useful information about a sample, most times we need to perform additional analysis to move further in our analysis procedure. One quick and dirty way to find more clues about a malware's behavior is by performing basic dynamic analysis. Many of the properties of a malware sample can be hidden when it's not running. However, when we perform dynamic analysis, we lay these properties bare and learn more about the behavior of a malware sample. So caution, dynamic analysis require running live malware samples that can be destructive. So it is highly recommended that you perform this in an isolated virtual machine. So we're already running in a virtual machine because I'm using Kali Linux in a virtual machine. Okay, so introduction to sandbox. It is a term borrowed from the military. A sandbox is a box of sand, as the name suggests, modeling terrain when an operation has to take place in which a military team dry runs their scenarios to identify possible outcomes. In malware analysis, a sandbox is an isolated environment mimicking the actual target environment of a malware where the analyst runs and sample to learn more about it. Malware analysis sandboxes heavily rely on virtual machines, their ability to take snapshots and revert to a clean state when required. So construction of a sandbox mimicking the actual target environment, ability to take snapshots, monitoring software, network monitoring, OS monitoring, control over the network through a dummy DNS server, mechanism to move analysis logs and malware. Open. Okay, has it run? What happened here? Okay, so it's taking really long time to run this Petri tool. Okay, we have open source sandboxes. Though it is good to understand what a good sandbox is made of. Building a sandbox from scratch is not always necessary. One can always set up open source sandboxes. These sandboxes provide the framework for performing basic dynamic analysis okay and are customizable to a significant extent to help those with a more adventurous mindset. Cuckoo's sandbox. Okay, we have Cape Sandbox. We have online sandboxes as well. Analyzing samples using hybrid analysis. So let's open this in a new page as well. Go down. What do we have to check? Let's see. But okay. So let's click the hash. Check the hash of the sample redline on hybrid analysis and check out the report generated on 14th March 2022. Okay, let this Petri tool run and we'll check our uh, you know uh, that MD5 sum. Let's copy it from here. Go to basic dynamic analysis. Going here, report search. Okay, so let's paste in the hash. Click on search. Okay, check the incident response section of the report. How many domains were contacted by the sample? So let's okay. It's first March. Go back. Yes. Okay. It's first May. Let's go down. This is the sample we are looking for. March. This report is one we are looking for. The report for 14th March 2022. And let's see. Post files to a web server. Okay. Network behavior. It contacts 8 domains and 8 hosts. Can we go to network analysis? Yes, we can. And here you can see the 8 you know domains it contacts with. OCSP trust, this IP-api.com. Okay, so 8 domains. Okay, in this report mentioned above, a text file is created by the sample. What is the name of that text file? So let's go to the extracted files and let's look for our txt file. It's all exe. Okay, it was a temp file, I think. Okay. Yes, we have found our txt file. Let's copy it. Okay, so let's move on to task 7, which is anti-analysis techniques. This P3 redline tool is still not working. Okay. While the security researchers are devising techniques and tools to analyze malware, and the malware authors are working on rendering these tools and techniques ineffective, we found a great detail of information in the previous task about the malware we analyzed. However, there are ways malware authors can make our life difficult. Below are some of the techniques used by malware authors to do the same. Packing and obfuscation. So it's basically mean encrypting and compressing the file, which makes it difficult for us to analyze. So we can see that it compresses, encrypts, and obfuscates the contents of the malware. Okay, let's cancel this tool. Because it's taking long. Okay, it's now running. Okay, let's see the end data and text. Yes, is showing us the data. This is the entropy MD5 and SHA-256. Okay, it contains lot of data. It's graphical user interface instead of CLI. Okay, so what we're looking at, this runs strings on this tool, and we get a bunch of gibberish data which doesn't make any sense. We will notice that this sample contains mainly garbage strings that doesn't provide much value. Okay, so let's move on. We If you run pcheck on this as well, we get suspicious flag set for section 0. We don't get much information here. As suspected, that we can see that the executable has characteristics typical of a packed executable. As per pcheck, we will notice that there is no dot text section in this sample, and other section has execute permissions, which shows that these sections contain executable instructions or will be populated with executable instructions during execution. So for analyzing of packet executables, the first step is to generally unpack the sample. This is an advanced topic that will be covered in the upcoming rooms. Sandbox evasion. So we have how these people who make malware can make our life difficult by making the malware more difficult, to analyze by by doing sandbox evasion as well, like long sleep calls. So the basically when we run the malware in our sandbox, the malware will not react or do anything on running for a particular time. So basically it's trying to run time out this sandbox. Then we have user activity detection. These malware samples will wait for user activity before performing any malicious activity. So they will wait for user to do something before performing their activity. Footprinting user activities. Some malware checks for user files or activities, like if there are any files in the MS Office history or internet browsing history. If no real activity is found, the malware will consider the machine as a sandbox and it will quit. Detecting VM sandboxes run on virtual machines. Virtual machines leave artifacts that can be identified by the malware. Okay, so which of the techniques discussed above is used to bypass static analysis? So I think packing and obfuscation. Packing is correct. Which technique discussed above is used to time out of sandbox? It was, I think, long sleep. What it was, long sleep something, long sleep calls. Okay, so now we will go to conclusion, and that was a primer on malware analysis. However, this was just scratching the surface. So far, we learned static and dynamic analysis, finding strings, calculating hashes, running AV scans on malware, introduction to PE header, and how to use information from it in malware analysis, sandboxing, and different online sandboxes that we can use. How malware evades the techniques that we discovered. So we will be working on malware analysis module that will cover ways to counter the anti-malware techniques just discussed. Let us know what you found interesting in this room on Discord or Twitter. Head over to the social channels for further discussion. discussion. So we have now completed this room called Introduction to Malware Analysis, and the credit for making this room goes to Tryhackme and Umair Ali Zafar. So thank you guys for making this room, and thank you guys for watching my video, and I'll see you in next one.